Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the beautiful circuit of Imola for round 2 of the Raceface.Pro GT3 Championship. My name is Stephen Koenig, and it's absolutely wonderful to have you guys out in the grandstands joining us here at the beautiful Imola, where it's all about technical pace. It's how well you're going to be able to take the corners, deal with the pack, and who is going to be able to carry the fuel and tires across the line to ensure they in for a win. We've seen single stinting once before. I don't think it's going to happen again here at a 30-degree circuit, 27 degrees air temperature. Taking a look over to our virtual grandstands, we have got some major players joining us here. Jason Farmer, unfortunately, unable to race due to injury, taking a little bit of recovery time. So, Jason, good to see you. Speedy recovery on that one. We've also got Paul the Wall Fenter, the man, the myth, the legend. And, well, definitely going and enjoying. Welcome you all. But, that being said, let's head down to the circuit as drivers are already starting to get their qualifying underway. As we all return to it all, it is going to be a wild run. Everyone looking to put in some top flight pace here tonight. Let's quickly go and take a look at who is where in the standings, because it is one heck of a race. Going through our top 10 of our pros, it's going to be Brandon Kruger. Henry Mayer in second place. He got penalized 2 points and that dropped him down. Bago Krobler running in third. Fleming Bauer in fourth, followed by Henry Platt. Daniel van der Venter, Chris Collison, Gerrit Bukes, and Oriatel Mohile, who's running in 9th, and Jason Farmer, who will not be on the grid tonight, running in 10th for our pros. Moving on to our Pro-Ams, however, it's getting a little bit close. Vian Putter took the win at the end. Ruan Heineke in second place. David van Veek running in third. John LaRue, followed by Jared Bakum, Jean Verfiers, Anton Lammers, Kerry Duplessis, Terence Ferreira, and rounding out the pack, Hansi Myberg, going and putting in the fastest times to enjoy their race around here. Unfortunately, no onboard cams tonight, as the drivers are a little bit camera shy this time around. Henry Mayer first to put a time on the board with a 140.77 for the Pandassi Infiltrate team. Fleming Bauer running in second place with a 140.9. Sunjin Pillay going and putting a good time for the Alpha 1 Esports with a 142.072. Jean Detoy going and dropping down the order as Jaco Kutzer out in the Omnis Gaming Mustang goes and puts in a absolutely stellar run to put himself up into third. How long can he hold on to it? Now, 140, 141 is going to be our proper running for our top 10. That is going to be the very interesting time. But that being said, we also have to talk about, well, the big elephant in the room, multi-class racing. And I'm not talking about different cars. I'm not talking about a GT4 versus GT3. No. This is talking about the drivers. Jean LaRue is leading out the pack of our Pro-Ams at current, with our pros, Brandon Kruger, leading out that charge by 0.002, might I add. There's not enough space between himself and Henry Mayer to ensure he goes on. Brandon Kruger also coming off the back of the win at LMU last night, now having to get used to the car all over again. BMW to Mustang, that's not a huge change. But Henry Mayer currently 0.5 up on his personal best, looking to really put it in through the top of the order. A little bit further down though, Benjamin Till getting a bit of support for the Racing Snails, wanting to try and go and battle out. Getting cheered on by his son, actually. Very fantastic to see. Family Feuds coming in. 39 cars on this huge race, and also on a very technical circuit that's going to require a lot of patience on the running through. Jean Fiers currently running in 13th position overall. Will need to go and figure out how can he get that little bit more pace as he gets beaten out by Werner Boshoff, who is now leading out the Pro-Am pack. This is where it gets a little bit on the wild side, as our Pro-Ams have been taking the fight to the pros. Once again, hour and 20-minute race means that anything can happen. You've got to try and just keep yourself dialed in at all times. Gerrit Bukes coming across the line, puts himself into 5th place with a 140.9 ahead of Jaco Kutzer. Chris Collison running in 7th place. He is now 0.1 up on his personal best, hoping to make a big impact here. Going to be lots and lots of hard work to get it right, but unfortunately, it might not be the case as he just loses a bit of time in Sector 3. Going and showing a little bit of graphics on board because we'd like to see the split times, and you can see Sector 3 losing out completely and having to just try and work it back. Daniel van der Venter running a little bit further down. He's in 10th. Sector 1, 2, and 3 wasn't his greatest on the last lap. Currently 0.2 up on his personal best in the BMW M4 GT3. Not the Evo. That hasn't touched the ACC service yet. Hopefully sometime. Might be on AC Evo. But Sanjin Pillay will be chasing him down. Sector 1, Sector 2 was his main gains on the previous lap. Let's see Sector 3. Did he manage to get a little bit better? He's currently 0.2 up on his personal best. Shoots across the line from 11th to 7th. Gonna be happy with that one. Vian Pata leading out the Pro-Ams, and take a look at the difference. 6th place with a 141.0, and you got Jean Verfiers all the way down in 13th position. Now having to just try find any bit of grip to close it up. Jared Bakum getting himself into the top 10 now with a 141.5 as he looks to take the flight to the front. Jean Redtoy currently 0.1 up on his personal best, along with David van Dijk. Lost it in Sector 2 on the previous lap, making it up now. 0.3 of a second faster across the line from 19th to 14th. Very, very happy with that one. Conrad Fulskink, also good to have him back. Been a while since we've seen the Fulskink whole team coming in. Jumping into 18th position. Jackie Alberts bouncing over the curbs here at Imola and battling to keep it all in check. Will have to try and dig deep to make up some time as he heads down to Rivazza 1 and Rivazza 2 as they go and put down the power. The Mustang a little bit unsteady on the power, not looking quite stiff as it needs to be. Reginald Mutileni, though, been having a much better time for the Noob Nation Racing. He's currently 0.2 up on his personal best and chasing down Benjamin Till, currently 0.7 up on his personal best. Lost in Sector 1, lost in Sector 2 on the previous lap, down in 30th position. Well, make it 31st as we've got the likes of Anton Lummers who's going through, and it's an absolute traffic jam in pit lane as everyone's trying to find any bit of clear air possible to stay in the running order. Henry Mayer puts himself at the top of the board with a 140.2. Fleming Bauer in second. Bego Krobler also coming off the back of racing LMU last night. Now trying to get to grips here in ACC and doing a far better option than what he was in LMU, getting used to the Mustang that side. But running in third place, Henry Platt running in fourth, comes across the line and unable to improve on his last lap. Brandon Kruger, his teammate, is running in fifth. Kerry Bukes down into sixth. Vian Putter currently running in seventh, leading out our Pro-Ams that are trying to just find any grip possible. 39 cars, though, makes it rather difficult. Vessel Roda, one of the very few Mercedes AMG GT3s that are out on the circuit for the Kramadulis racing team, needs to put in a time that is going to be bumping him on the board. He's got an off track. He did a 142.8, but it didn't count due to track limits exceeded. Same as Ruan Heineke, did a 149.6. He's now looking to try and put another chance to get himself on the board and hoping to move his way up in the order. Last thing you want to do is be trapped at the back of the field or stuck in the mid-pack, heading into turn one. Cold tires, cold brakes. Jean Verfiers currently 0.1 up on his personal best, really giving it everything he's got to try and dig deep here. Hard on the anchors, swings the Ferrari 296 in. Sector 1 was bad, Sector 2 was great, Sector 3 was down, but let's see what this lap's going to look like as he's 0.1 up, and from 17th, he will remain 17th, not jumping up. With a 141.9, he needs to get to the 141.8 of Gerard Pretorius ahead of him. Jaco Kutzer was gaining a bit of time, 0.1, but unfortunately, he was only able to jump just slightly up into the top 10, was aiming for that 140, was getting close to it. Gerry van Zyl putting the hammer down, was up on the last lap, and it looks like he's going to replicate it yet again. 0.2 up on his personal best from 7th place. So is Garrett Bukes with 0.2 of a second. Comes across the line and jumps himself into 4th place, knocking down Henry Platt and Brandon Kruger a little bit further down the order. Garrett Bukes 0.1 up on his personal best as he tries to claw his way through. Vessel Woda currently 0.4 up on his personal best, which is a great gain. But big shout out goes to Lucan Haynes, who's currently 0.1 second up, and it looks like he may have actually got off track there. Rowan Heineke 1.2 seconds up on his previous time. Well, he did do a 2 minute on that last one. Let's see if he'll be able to make it work coming across the line for the team Sarko and GR, the Griffin Sim Racing team, from 39th going up into 19th. He's going to be happy with that. Reginald Mutaleni currently 0.5 up on his personal best, hoping that he's going to make a big bit of work here to stand at the top of the order. Henry Mayer going faster through all the sectors. Kerry Funzel 0.3 up. Garrett Bukes currently 0.4 up on his personal best. This is going to be a big jump for the Stingers Racing. From 7th, he wants to get himself into that top 5 and does even better than top 5. Sector 1 was the fastest out of all the cars and putting himself smack bang into 2nd place, 0.3 of a second behind Henry Mayer. Terry Funzel trying everything he can to bring it back. Sanjan Pillay as well in the Ferrari, just sitting out of that top 10. Needs to try and push a little bit harder. He has to get into the 140 mark, which is from Brandon Kruger in 7th place, sits with the final of the 140s. Everyone else below him, though, has been running in the 41s. Paces have been extremely close between all the drivers and seeing what they can do as they fight their way through the order. Who's going to be able to make up the time? Lucan Haynes, once again, trying to get a timeout on the board and really jump his way through. He did a 143.2 this last time, looking to put a bit of pace this time round as he hammers it down, 0.9 of a second, heading into Ravatsa 2. And it is going to be a late on the anchors. The BMW looking rather stable, just got to keep it together. This is going to be a good lap time for him to jump up into the top 15. 0.8 up on his personal best. He needs to beat the 142.3 that he set and comes across the line to boot himself up into 32nd position. Sector 1, Sector 2, great. Sector 3, not ideal circumstances. Conrad Fulsing currently 0.2 up on his personal best. Brandon Kruger trying to retaliate down in 7th position. 0.3 up on his personal best. Really figuring out what he can do. How far can he jump himself up through the order here? Needs to get back into the top 5, knowing the competition is stiff and everyone looking to try and pull away from him. And he's a little bit closer to Vian Pata, who we've seen last race is not afraid to go and stick it up on the inside of these pro drivers, saying, I might be Pro-Am on the number board, but you are one position higher than me, and I am going to take that away from you and fight it out till the very last. And that is what we like to see, drivers pushing beyond their boundaries, ensuring that they can stay in for the great running here. Terence Ferreira out on circuit, going to come across the line. He was racing with Wayne Ferreira not too long ago. His brother, who unfortunately beat him at Bathurst. Paul has been reminding ever since to Terence Ferreira, and he's trying to make an impact here with 27th position. A 142.3 is not working out. His time has run out. If you're not able to get a time on the board now, you will lose out. Fleming Bauer, 0.1 up on his personal best is Bago Krobler, Harry Funzel, Henry Platt, Vian Potter, Chris Collison, all coming across the line. Tianis Buerta coming across the line. So far, no one able to improve their times. Brandon Kruger up into 2nd place with a 140.5, and Henry Mayer still holds the top of the pack. Daniel van der Venter going to be battling his way through and comes across the line. He's in 12.4 up. Is this enough to jump him into the top 10? And does so. Into 8th he goes. Going to be smiling all the way to the bank on that one as they keep on the running. Cars coming across the line, looking to put some big pace on the way through. Taking a look to our virtual grandstands, Motsahile getting a bit of support as well as he comes across the line in 31st. He will jump him up into 27th position. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Drivers are at the ready. We're going to be racing no more other than Terence Ferreira and the number 1. Going and making his way around. I'm going to be trying to do everything I can, along with the likes of Jackie Alberts, who just come across the line in 34th position. Terence Ferreira, 0.1 up on his personal best. Can he make it stick? Can he make it work? Will come across the line and puts himself into 28th position. Wild, wild stuff, folks, as we get ready to rock and roll here at Imola. A massive welcome to you all once again. Fantastic to have the entire crowd here to enjoy the absolute epic racing we have here at Raceface.Pro, put on by our South Africans that are looking to make a huge impact. Some of the fastest in the world going and joining on the grids and being a part of the show, but also sitting with the biggest field. Now, just to reiterate, we do have the likes of our AMs, which are golds and silvers, that are racing at the same time. So we keep an eye on Pro and Pro-Am, but there is also more of our novice classes that are running further behind that you need to keep an eye out on. There's some Grid 4, unfortunately not being broadcasted yet, but in the future they may do so. That being said, though, we get ready for some amazing action here at the beautiful Imola. If you had to pick a corner, where would you like to be? Aqua Minerali? Would you like to be through Variante Alta? Would you like to go through Tosa or Variante Villeneuve? A circuit that is rich in history, but at the same time is infamous for many. Is this going to be the ender for many cars, or is this going to be the rude awakening that people need to get going? Let's go and quickly head back to the grid, as Tim has got some beautiful aerial shots of the cars lined up on the line. And there we go, starting to get some track view of the huge field. We have mixture of Pro and Pro-Am. 39 cars will be duking it out here today for the chance to maximize the points for round 2 of the Raceface.Pro GT3 Championship, proudly sponsored by Rhino Utility, Simulator Cave, Virtual Motorheads, and SBR. Looking over to the virtual grandstands, fantastic to have you all. It is fantastic to see you all out there and enjoying yourselves. So make sure you go and pull up something to drink. Make sure you grab yourself some popcorn, because we're about to see some very, very interesting action. We do have Tim on the cameras that is giving us all these beautiful shots. We have also got the likes of Jim, who is our main CEO, well, race director, who will be calling out green flag, he'll be calling out red flags, and getting us going, and also notifying the drivers, hey, listen, you got to go and try and get yourself up for the running order. That being said, though, for the Raceface.Pro GT3 Championship, we are in for a treat, and I hope that everyone is rather excited. It's a long formation lap for the drivers, not too long. The track is reasonably short for the GT3 cars, and the amount of field that we have. Many of the drivers will be starting in the last corner to get themselves out on track. But let's go through our grids and see who's starting where for the Raceface.Pro GT3 Championship Round 2. It is Henry Mayer out in first place, Brandon Kruger in second, Kurt Bukers running in third, followed by Fleming Bauer, Bego Krobler, Kerry van Zyl, Henry Platt, Daniel van der Venter, Vian Putter, Chris Colson, Sanjin Pillay, Jaco Kurzer in 12th, Tianas Buerta, Werner Buschhoff, along with Jean-Andre Dutoy, Jared Muscombe, Hansi Myberg, Vessel Woda, Conrad Volsking, followed by David van Veek, Reina van der Walt, Gerald Pretorius, Jean Verveers, Ruan Heineke, Alex Batendach, who we've seen put in some good pace in the last run. Jean Leroux still trying to find out what his error is with 404. Oriate Matsahile running in 27th, followed by Terence Ferreira, Jean-Ray Buerta, Benjamin Till in 30th position. 31st, Reginald Montaleni, Conrad Martin, who's also coming off LMU, and along with Kerry Duplessis, Jackie Alberts, Lucan Haynes, Anton Lummers, Henk Pieterse, Michael Schultz, and Leon Swan joining in the round of the pack. 39 cars. Folks, this is going to be a wild ride for many of our drivers. 1 hour and 20-minute race with 2 mandatory pit stops. And how do you try and get those pit stops done and dusted? Well, you have to put at least 1 liter of fuel in the car, make sure you're lined up in the box, and get back out on the circuit. You have to serve both mandatory pit stops, otherwise you land up with a 130-second penalty. That takes you out of the race, knocks you out of any chance of maximizing the points. This is going to be wild. Brandon Kruger and Henry Mayer look to start off the front row. The two of them sharing some, well, big rivalry between them and not afraid to go elbow to elbow. Kerry Pukes, after a phenomenal qualifying, will be running in third, looking to make the impact, but he has got Fleming Bauer on the side of him. Fleming Bauer is a missile into corners when he wants to get it done. Bego Krobler looking to go and fight it out with Gerry van Zyl. Henry Platt will be waiting, and let's see if he'll be flat-footed on the way, along with Daniel van der Venter to try and break through. Vian Putter, however, has to keep ahead of the likes of Bischoff, running down in 14th position. As we keep an eye to the grid, starting to make their way through, it is going to be the lockout with the Pandacities looking to try and get an early jump, with Brandon Kruger looking to defend. Has the advantage on the outside, where Henry Mayer is going to be braking rather hard to try and get it going. As we lights on, lights on, lights on, lights on. Anytime now. I'm holding my breath. Any time for round 2 here at Imola for Raceface.Pro GT3 Championship. Henry Mayer off to the start, going and locking it down and fighting out Brandon Kruger as they head into turn 1. Fleming Bauer trying to go up on the inside. Kerry Bukes running a little bit wide, along with Bego Krobler. Move up for Gerry van Zyl, as likes of Henry Platt stuck on the outside. Daniel van der Venter trying to make the dive. Vian Putter making his way through, as well, looks like all rather clean on the way. Not too many bump scratches and bruises coming in from our drivers, which is, well, very first. Oh, never mind. There is the likes of LaRue going backwards into the dirt, and David van Veek as well going and getting spun round as they try and pick themselves off. Drivers trying to get it all up and going side by side. Let's quickly take a look at what happened to the 404. And this was a little bit of an argy-bargy, trying to keep himself going. LaRue not having the easy time. Looked to go for the inside line. Is it going to work out for him? And unfortunately not. Contact with the BMW and contact against the 77, the likes of the 17 of David van Veek. David, unfortunately, collateral damage in that fight. Fleming Bauer down into third place. Looks to try and keep pressure onto Brandon Kruger. Gerry Bukes and Bego Krobler are fighting it out. The two Mustangs galloping into the distance away from Gerry van Zyl in 6th. As we do get yellow flags, that is Henk Petersen down into 39th. The 816 gone out of shape. And let's quickly take a look at what happened. So trying to keep behind. Reginald Mutaleni just ahead, getting on the power. Now it's coming up to the very, very tight chicane where just Constantinas, you're going down into first gear. You have to just try and keep it together. And, oh, contact with the 17. Not able to get on the anchors too quickly. And that's David van Veek with a bit more damage to his nose than planned. And unfortunately, going and having Henk Petersen with that rear damage as well. Gerry Bukes feeling the pressure, Gerry van Zyl, and take a look, Henry Platt now joining in the fray as Daniel van der Venter starting to get into the attack as well. Looked around the outside, the Apex Titans Racing BMW couldn't quite get the jump and is definitely showing his nose. Vian Putter running in 11th position as he makes his way up through the order. And this is Werner Bischoff that's running in 11th, along with John Rage Troy. And Hansi Myberg taking a look to the inside, couldn't get the drive. And now it's got Chris Collison for a bit of company. Conrad Fulsking enjoying the Honda at the moment as he tries to put a bit more power down. Vesselwoda and likes of Brandon van der Volt getting involved in the fight as well. Do see the likes of the 404 trying to get himself back on track. So there is a couple of cars that have gone through pit lane, likes of Sanjay Pillay, Jaco Kutzer, Ruben Heineke, Jean Leroux, Gerard Pretorius, Motsahile, Henk Petersen, and David van Veek all gone through pit lane at current, trying to get themselves going. It is going to be a huge race between them of who can get the jump and considering they got the first pit stop. Daniel Funafenta up on the inside, capitalizing on Henry Platt's mistake, going a little bit too fast into the chicanes, and unfortunately lost out of position there. Now has Putter for company, looks to the outside. He's going to gear himself up for the inside into turn 1. It's going to be all about getting on the brakes a little bit quicker. Putter keeping on the outside, into the slipstream it goes. Late on the anchors. No shenanigans here. Well, there could have been one if you just didn't straighten, you didn't turn the steering more. Very, very close into the side of Daniel Funafenta, and that has given Tienes Puerta a great run to try and launch his way through. Just out in the top 10 as our drivers start to pull away. A little bit of touching on the dirt. Paul Funafenta battling as hard as he can to keep Henry Platt at bay. Drivers all doing everything they can. John Fears going into the pits. Jean-Ray Dutoy, Hansi Mayberg, Jean-Ray Buerta, Conrad Martin, Reginald Mutileni, Anton Lummers, all next that have gone into the pits and will be visiting many of our VIPs out there. I know Paul the Wall Fento will be waving. The likes of Jason Farmer will be going and saying, come on Griffin Sim Racing, let's go, go, go. And supporting on in the background. Vian Putter now in for the charge. Keeping ahead, he knows that Werner Buschhoff is making up some time. Second place of the Pro-Ams with Vessel Roda running third of our Pro-Ams. Henry Mayer, Brandon Kruger, and Fleming Bauer round out our top 3 for our pros as the grid starts to split open a little bit. Oh, side-by-side contact between Jared Bakum and Jackie Alberts. And Jackie's going to come back fighting, not going to let that Aston Martin get too far away. And Alex Batenuck in the Porsche looking to try and send his way through. It is a 2v8 with a Porsche going and trying to battle his way through it. Unfortunately, not having time of his life there. The straight 6 not having an easy run. But Jared Bakum dives into the pit lane, and that releases Alex Batenuck to deal with Jackie Alberts on the way through. Early pit stops coming into the play and seeing what can they do to make the big impact. Leader of those pit stops, though, however, is Sanjan Pillay in 25th position. He's looking to try and break away. Early pit stop, maybe a little bit later, down towards the 45-minute mark, get in for the second and run your way through. Looking at all the drivers, however, they've only done splashes and dashes. There has been minor repairs. Motsahile's car had minor repair work done. Henk Pieterse, same. David van Veek, and big one for Jean-Ray Buerta, sitting in the pits for over 50 seconds in the run. Tienes Puerta now leaving the pit lane as Sanjan Pillay going and getting past him. Will now try and fight it out for the running order. Henry Platt and Daniel Funafenta still 0.4 of a second on the back of one another as they chase each other down, looking for any opportunity to win big here at Imola. Late onto the anchors, throwing their way through. Henry Platt's got a lot of hard work as Daniel is keeping it pretty simple at the moment. Get those apexes, stand on the power, and keep going. So the drivers all looking and focusing. Terry Duplessis and Leon Swan having a good tussle between one another. The Lexus, a not very picked car for some odd reason, battling out with the old fan favorite, the old faithful, and one that a certain Fenter would say is the only car to consider in the sim, and that is the likes of the Aston Martin V8 Vantage. Still think the V12 needs a little bit more love. Side by side for Terence Ferreira and the likes of Renan van der Walt, who are going into turn 1. Terence Ferreira is going to have the advantage. Try to bring it back. Oh, a little bit of side-on contact there. Van der Walt saves it around the outside. Never mind, he's gone rallying. BMW now back into the rally. WEC, nope, forget it. Let's go back to the world of dirt. And Renan van der Walt losing a lot of time trying to slow the car down, and that's brought him into the clutches of Jackie Alberts after the door swipe that the two of them have had. Drops the wheel onto the dirt, not going to be comfortable there. Jackie Alberts looking to capitalize. Round the outside, swings across, trying to get on the power, squeezes him in the hairpin. Now, if that Mustang can have just enough grunt underneath it, he should be able to go and open up the gap, and does so. Renan van der Walt going and having to sit yet again, waiting for an opportunity as we jump on board with Renan van der Walt as he's got Alex Batenuck onto the back of him, trying to chase down, and Alex is not going to wait any moment to go and dispatch likes of Van der Walt as Jackie Alberts gets it wrong. He slows up, moves out of the way, cuts himself back in behind Van der Walt. Obviously, the side-on contact, he wasn't too happy with it. Did feel a little bit sorry, lift it, let the likes of Van der Walt go, and that had Alex Buitendag to immediately go and dive for that position, hoping to get it done and dusted. Leon Swan once again into a fight, this time with Michael Schultz, as he tries to battle his way through. Michael Schultz up into 19th place, a name that we haven't come across for a long time, actually. And it's good to see him returning to the circuit, as we see Lucan Haynes, unfortunately, visiting the dirt. Not quite the way the racing style wants to go, and landed up being a bit of a slug out of the corner. You can see that front end aero damage, and that has brought Michael Schultz and Leon Swan back into contention. Michael Schultz trying to go and help, pushing a little bit harder on the rear, hoping that the likes of Leon Swan will not have the advantage into turn 1, but he may have just done it. Lucan Haynes swings across the inside, and Michael Schultz is going to have to keep the inside switches to outside. That has brought the likes of Gerry du Plessis back into the fray, and that Lexus has a lot of low-end torque. Michael Schultz losing out yet another position, as Gerry du Plessis making short work to get past the likes of the Aston. And now Gerry du Plessis up on the inside, through the hairpin, beautifully done, swipes across the nose, and is back racing yet again. Jackie Alberts, however, testing track limits, and that is not going to be advised, as our stewards will come down like a ton of bricks on you. Ruan van der Walt in 16th, keeping the pressure on, knowing that he's making mistakes, and Alex Buitendag just waiting for his opportunity to stay in for the fight. Bego Krobler onto the back of Fleming Bauer, as the Pandacity will have to deal with Team Wolf at the moment, that is chasing down Bego Krobler, hoping that he can just keep the momentum, closing and closing that gap as much as possible before he can go on to the attack. Fleming Bauer's going to guard the inside line, moves back out to the outside. Bego Krobler trying to go a little bit later on the brakes, steered for the inside, wasn't too comfortable though to get it done and dusted. Fian Putter pulling into the pit, and that hands over the lead of the race for the Pro-Ams, going to the likes of Bischoff. Lucan Haynes, however, back into the dirt and losing out even more time with the BMW, battling to keep that car in check. Now, maybe that front aero playing a big factor for him on the way through, and I need to consider getting it sorted out if the nose is just not turning in on you. Bring up maybe that traction control as well, move your brake bias, anything to slow that car down. Alex Buitendag, beautiful pass on Ruan van der Walt, runs out a bit wide, bit of a slide to get the Porsche all together, but managing to make it stick as the Apex Titan Racing BMW looks to continue on the drive. Michael Schultz trying to pull away from the likes of Leon Swan as Gerry du Plessis. Terence Ferreira finding out in 13th position, along with Wessel Roda at the moment, who is running in 12th. So Bischoff leads out our Pro-Am, Woda in 2nd, Ferreira in 3rd, Henry Mayer leads out our pros with Brandon Kruger and Fleming Bauer running our top 3, with Bego Krobler hot on the heels, putting a lot of pressure on the number 4 of Fleming Bauer. Late on the brakes, tries to swing the car through, couldn't quite get the drive out of Vidianta Alta, as the likes of Fleming Bauer utilizing a little bit of slipstream at the moment from a blue flag that is actually helping him out. Going to be eyeing out into turn 1, going to have to go late on the 8th brakes here, and it's not going to be an easy one, as it's David van Veek. Stands out a little bit wide. He does slow down, allowing both drivers to go, compromising his line, but not wanting to get involved in that fight and not wanting to visit the dirt. Terence Ferreira onto the back of Wessel as he looks towards the inside line. Can he hold it? He switches to the outside. Not enough drive though. Goes back, sells the dummy up on the inside. Ferreira over the curves. The Mustang looking absolutely planted. Gets the power on. Wessel now down into 13th position and 3rd of the Pro-Am class. Great move from Terence Ferreira to try and hold his ground. Wessel, however, coming back at him, loses a bit of time by dropping a wheel on the dirt, not able to bring it back. Lucan Haynes into the pits. Sanjan Pillay now into 21st position after doing his pit stop. Anton Lummers, however, fighting out, trying to keep ahead of Reginald Muttolini, who goes up on the inside, and Reginald saying, "Thank you very much, sir." Anton Lummers, unfortunately, visiting the kitty litter. Hansi Myberg keeping the pressure on Jaco Kutzer as they fight their way through. Kutzer not having the easy drive out there as Myberg looks to lay in the pressure, hoping to put the putting the screws in a little bit more than that. Kutzer running in the Pro Division, down in the Pro-Ams. Not ideal circumstances, but it does show you the pace between them. Fast lap of the race, though, held by Henry Mayer, 140.7 on the running through. Michael Schultz, however, on the back of Kerry Duplessis, bouncing that Porsche all over the show. Not advised in the Porsche handbook to just mount the curbs as hard as possible, while the Lexus just keeping on trucking. This little car has been a proper fun in its heyday, but thanks to the LFM BOP, it's brought back into the fight, along with actually the Bentley, oddly enough. That is also good to have out on the circuit due to the LFM. And if I remember correctly, and I stand to be corrected with this one, for those that are racing in LFM, and for those that are racing in other leagues that utilize LFM or that type of ballast system, if I remember correctly, the 488 Ferrari is also a definite point to go for as well. So I stand to be corrected, but it also would be one. Alex Baden-Dach, however, not having an easy time, off into the dirt, loses out to Van der Walt, and Kerry Duplessis and Michael Schultz now see him in sight as they pull along Leon Swan at the moment in 19th position. Off for the number 3, however, Lucan Hines into the wall, and that is a monster amount of damage for him as he rejoins. He will have Sanjan Pillay coming and racing up on him, looking to try and get by. Let's quickly take a look at the accident of what happened to Lucan as he was making his way around. Did the tail just snap out underneath him? Did he just battle to get the car sorted out? Did he go over the curbs? Oh, rear steps out and huge impact into the wall, smashing the front nose and, well, improving the looks of the BMW as well. Kerry Duplessis getting away from Michael Schultz, who's got Leon Swan onto the back of him now as they continue on their drive, as drivers look to massively make big impacts here to ensure they go through. So far, we do have one retirement, however. We're down to 38 cars, unfortunately, and that is a telltale sign of drivers starting to feel the pressure that Imola starts to get you as well. Having a monster-sized grid, having those variety of pit stop strategies coming into play, and also a very technical circuit of Imola makes life a bit interesting. Leon up on the inside of Michael Schultz, going late on the brakes, couldn't quite get it to stick, as Michael Schultz keeping himself just alive in 18th position, not wanting to lose out the drive here, looking to score some points. Lucan back into the pits on the way through. Sanjan Pillay still leading out those that have done the pit stops and starting to make their way around. That being said, let's look at our gains and losses, and this excludes those that have gone and unfortunately retired the cars for a variety of reasons. And biggest gains, however, is Michael Schultz and Leon Swan. Both started down at the bottom. Michael Schultz with 38th position and Leon Swan down in 39th. And both of them 20 positions up from where they started, which is absolutely fantastic to see. Taking a look at our biggest loss, however, after doing a pit stop, is Vian Putter, who is down 18 positions from the start. Started in 9th, down into 27th, but he is a little bit out of sequence at the moment, looking to ensure he keeps going. If you're not talking about those that are out of sequence, that would be David van Veek, however, for the Slipstream Racing, down 16 positions after the big impact he had earlier on. He's got the likes of Brandon Kruger now putting pressure onto the back of... Is it Brandon Kruger? No, that is not Brandon Kruger. That might be Henry Platt. Yes, it is. It's Henry Platt. Trying to decipher between the rings. And Henry Platt going and keeping the pressure on Daniel van Venter at the moment, and with the likes of Henry Platt now needing to try and figure out how to get past the 17 car, which makes it pretty easy. Late on the brakes, sends it up on the outside, a little bit of a lift as well as the blue flag starts waving. It's always fantastic to see a bit of situational awareness from the drivers saying, okay, look, it's not my battle here, I'm gonna rather just lift, give it a bit of time and refocus accordingly. I know many of the drivers were concerned of major impacts, major bouncing around on the circuit, but so far the racing has been reasonably clean. And I gotta say, that is a bit of a striking one. Not enough to put ice in a milkshake yet to go and say, well, call me a table and go and lay me down, but definitely way to go. Henry Platt and Daniel Fonafenta still fighting it out with one another as the grid starts to open up just a little bit more. Vian Putter keeping the pressure on Hansi Myberg. Now, Hansi Myberg is fighting for class position here, so don't expect him to yield to Vian Putter, who has been the quickest of the Pro-Ams. We cannot take that away. His best lap time, a 141.8, and he did start up into the top 10. Kerry Duplessis getting a loss of position to Michael Schultz and Leon Swan. Now onto the back of him. So Kerry down in the order, and he is down into 18th, and having Michael Schultz now starting to pull away. Little Lexus, though, however, is going to come back at him at a rate of knots, hoping to gain some time and is staying for the fight. Beggar Krobler, however, keeping the pressure on. Fleming Bauer down in third place. So Gracie drivers pushing themselves out a little bit more through the race and enjoying some great battles on the order. So always going to be one to be cautious of. Those pit stops as we get closer to the 20 minutes completed of this race, round 2 of the Raceface.Pro GT3 Championship here at Imola, and really going and battling out for the order. Always going to be a rather exciting time to see drivers going and fighting tooth and nail, looking to try and push themselves that little bit more in through the order. Oh, to give everyone a little bit of a joke, well, we got some breathing room. Well, let's take away the breathing for you and put a bit of an earworm in your ear. A little bit of an interesting time, because I'm sure many of us on a scorching hot day here at Imola would like to go past our local drive-thrus and grab an ice cream. Well, here's a little poem that has been sung for it, written by myself, called Roses Are Red, but coin is a token. I'm sorry, sir, but the ice cream machine is still broken. There we go. Earworm for you guys. Enjoy the giggles, and whether you like it or not, it's out there. Leon Swan, however, putting the pressure on Kerry Duplessis, continues on to power his way through. Daniel Fonafenta and Henry Platt onto the back of one another, and it does look like Fonafenta not backing down. Henry Platt having to work a little bit harder. He tried to look for the outside line, didn't work out, going and bring it back in to battle his way through, ensuring he can stay in for the fight as much as possible, not wanting to lose out any bit of time at this point. He's still got the likes of Daniel Fonafenta right onto the back. You're welcome. I've parted knowledge onto you guys on this extremely hot day here at the beautiful circuit of Imola. 30 degrees out on the circuit. The tires are starting to melt. They are starting to have a difficult time out there. They will start feeling a drop-off. You'll get initial stages of the getting grip. You'll start off cold. Not having much late braking is not an option. You're going to have to try and keep it all together. As you start to go through, the drivers will start feeling a grip, and starting to work with them. That late dives and maneuvers can happen. But as they hit over the 20-minute mark, this is when everything starts feeling a bit slushy. You've got a little bit of grip, but you can feel the car starting to slide around you a little bit more as you battle on. 40-minute mark, you are now starting to feel a little bit on ice, where you're occasionally getting that grip, but the tail of the car doesn't want to work with you. The nose is just not working. You're going to start understeering that a little bit further, and that also comes in with the type of cars that you're running. The Ferrari 296s, they are mid-engines. They will have a bit of a problem of a snap oversteer starting to come on them, like Ruben Heineke at the moment as he chases down Jaco Kutzer. Jaco with a front engine, that 5-litre beautiful forward Coyote motor, looks to try and put the power down, has a lot of weight on the nose, and that is going to induce understeer. That being said, fun fact about the Ford Mustang and the Mercedes that the Kramadulis is racing, both of those front engine cars have the engine recessed back towards the cockpit, as far back and as far low as possible, going and moving it a little bit behind the front axle, where the likes of the BMW, however, has it resting on the front axle. There isn't enough room to recess it back. They mainly focus on making the car a little bit wider to ensure they get going. So a bit of a fun fact between the cars on the Battle 3. Kerry Duplessis up on the inside of Michael Schultz, and Schultz visiting the farmyards at the moment, has gotten Kerry Duplessis past that small block V8, however, now needs to get away from the Porsche, looking up on the inside, and Leon Swan joining back in as well as they fight their way through. Leon Swan going and doing everything he can, not being the black swan in the mix here. He's looking to be the white swan, the beautiful, the Swan Lake in this beautiful ballet of a 3-car race. He looked towards the inside, trying to bait a maneuver at the moment for Michael Schultz to defend, and Michael missing his brake marker. This is the opportunity. Leon Swan gets on by, watch the review mirror, and unfortunately dropping down into 19th position. Baited a move, looked to the mirror, unfortunately couldn't get it worked out. Jaco Kutzer and Ruben Heineke still finding it out. Heineke definitely having a lot of drive into the corners versus the like of Kutzer, but not having enough out of the corners, as Kutzer's low down V8 having immense amount of torque over the Ferrari's V6 turbocharge that needs to wind itself up, get that pressure to stay in for the fight. And you can see the difference between the naturally aspirated V8 having that low end, but just not having enough in the top end to reclaim time lost at the start. So Heineke has to start thinking the bigger tropes at this. So I mean, this is going to be a monster run. Let's run through our running order though. 55 minutes at the running. It's Henry Mayer out in first place, trying to battle his way through. Currently leading out the pack. He is 4.6 seconds ahead of Brandon Kruger. 4.9 seconds back from him. Right behind Reginald Mutileni. And getting past Fleming Bauer in third. Bago Krobler giving chase in fourth. Gerrit Bukes, Kerry van Zale, Henry Platt, Daniel van der Vente, Werner Boshoff, along with Chris Collison rounding out our top 10. Conrad Fulsking running in 11th. Terence Ferrer, Vessel Woda, Jackie Alberts, Reina van der Walt, along with Alex Baden-Duck, Kerry Duplessis, Leon Swan, Michael Schultz, and Benjamin Till rounding out our top 20. Sunjin Pillay in 21st, followed by Tiernas Buerta, Jean-Ray Dutoy, Jaco Kutzer, Ruben Heineke, Vion Putter, Hansi Mayberg, Jean Viers, Jared Bacum, along with Jean Leroux, Jared Pretorius, Conrad Martin, Anton Lummers, Orihite Matsukile running in 34th, along with Reginald Mutileni, David Van Veek, and Luca Dans rounding out our pack, who has gone through the pits not once but twice. So he has no more pit stops to serve, but unfortunately both pit stops were due to damage. So that is going to play into effect here. He is down on the laps, but we've also had another retirement down to 37 cars out on the circuit. Still a lot of cars out there, but mechanical failures starting to happen with the drivers, and they're starting to battle their way into this mix. So everyone trying to up their ante here. How far are they willing to push? Jackie Alberts onto the back of Vessel Woda as he's looking to get himself into that top 3 as Boshoff leads Pro-Am. Likes of Ferreira is in second place. Woda holding down that third place has got Jackie Alberts and the likes of Reina van der Walt coming at him. Jackie up on the inside trying to get it to work. The two behemoths coming through. Oh, side on contact and in towards the grass was Reina van der Walt. He tried going and capitalizing every single time and battles out on the run. That is an absolutely fantastic run for Reina van der Walt. Jackie Alberts, though, just holding that line, and Vessel Woda not having enough in the tank. We are getting a bit of reports, and I think this is from Chris Collison, is it not? That is saying, unfortunately, going and landing up with some internet issues, so mechanical, and take him out of the race. Oh, Benjamin Till, however, visiting the dirt. The 337 not too happy on his way through. What on earth happened to Benjamin Till in that mighty Lamborghini GT3 Huracan Evo 2? And you can identify an Evo 1 and an Evo 2 because the Evo 2 is airbox and also ate the wall on the way through. So substantial damage coming onto that car, and he's going to have to get it repaired as he tries to make his way through. Tiernas Buerta will be going and saying thank you very much. in retaking a position on the way through. Jackie Alberts, however, still fighting out with Wessel Voda at the moment. Side by side they go. The Mustang versus the AMG, trying to make his way through. The Ford, however, having the grunt. And as these two are fighting it out, Brandon van der Walt starting to get a little bit more on the attack, really trying to put the pressure on, and unfortunately just not having the opportunity to get on by. Wessel having to do everything he can. A little bit further back, Jaco Hutzer getting the pass. Jean-Ray Dutoit, and completely missed the brake marker by a million light years. Dutoit says thank you very much. Ruben Heineke says thank you very much. And Hutzer, who is still trying to find the track at this point and rejoin safely, gently comes on, middle of the circuit, right across the nose of one of our trail bullets. A little bit of a rough one there, and we'll have to just be a little bit more cautious. If you're going to come onto the track, you've got to try and keep to the right-hand side as you came through. Don't launch your way right across from one lane to the other. It ain't going to work. It will end in tears for not only yourself, but other drivers as well. Leon Swan, Benjamin Tull into the pit lane and getting themselves sorted out. Ruben van der Walt and Wessel Voda now fighting it out as Jackie Alberts looks to try and pull his way through. Van der Walt saying, listen, he's losing time here. Going to get into the pits, get himself sorted out. Wessel Voda and Jackie Alberts find their way through. Ruben Heineke keeping the pressure on Jean-Ray Dutoit. Looks for the inside. It is Lamborghini versus Ferrari. It's the battle of the Italians at the moment. Heineke not having the drive on the V10 as he powers his way through. As we've got Jean-Ray Dutoit keeping it all together, screaming the way through the battles, trying everything he can to keep it going. Ruben Heineke will look to try and close that gap as much as possible. Sharing a little fun fact for anyone out there that enjoys GT3 racing. If you do happen to have a Lamborghini, Audi, or even a BMW, and that is the three cars that I know of, if you happen to have those GT3 cars, and they're the older ones, like your Evos, you do have an opportunity to get to an Evo 2 by purchasing an Evo 2 package. So, I mean, this is just one thing you got to be well aware of for the fight. So, if you do have that, there's a little bit of information at the moment. This is our closest battle, however, on circuit. The front of the field completely opened up by nearly 4 to 5 seconds, with Henry Mayer leading out that charge, leaving Brandon Kruger and Fleming Bauer just sitting 5.2 seconds behind. The only closest ones here is Bego Krobler closing up on Bauer, but running into the traffic, and that is Alain Kerepukes as well to get into the fight as they're trying to get around the 163 at the moment. Just try and keep the power on and keep going. So look at this, is going to be a huge run for the drivers to really make an impact here. Everyone looking to fight it out, and considering it's also a little bit of a team championship as well, teams need to identify where they need to be to score points. And later in the season, we do get to see that, where you start moving drivers around. Not that we enjoy it, but it does happen, where you got to try and think about the long-term gains here. We're still in the early seasons. It's 7 rounds of lots of racing to go. Many things can happen. Ruben Heineke onto the back of Jean-Ray Dutoit as he tries to make his way through. Heineke getting the drive. Scott Vion Putter onto the back of him. Putter has got a lot of run in that Aston Martin. He's going to look to try and get on by, but it's Heineke up on the inside, Dutoit on the outside, late on the anchors. Putter waiting it out and still seeing these two side by side. A little bit of rubbing is racing. Continue on. Jackie Alberts getting 30 seconds. Dutoit into the dirt, loses out. Putter says thank you and will continue on the drive. Dutoit now trying to fight his way back into the fight. Kerepukes coming out and battling out with Bego Krobler. This is going to drop him off Fleming Bauer, as Bego's going to have to switch focus to the likes of Bukes behind him, thinking, what does he need to do to get rid of the Stinger Racing that has been on a great charge? Remember, started out in 3rd, he's now down into 5th. They are getting warned by the marshals. Slow-going vehicles out on circuit. Be cautious. Make sure that you keep going. Chris Carlson giving us a little bit more information, saying, unfortunately, not being able to see the cars, doesn't want to ruin any of the racing, and rather took himself out of the race. The team opting to retire the Stinger Racing. It's a bit of a blow, unfortunately, to have him out, but still, to go and have hindsight like that, bravo. Not many people say, listen, I've got a problem. I'm not going to risk it. Many of us would still keep our foot in it and probably regret it a little bit later down the road. Leading out those that have done their pit stop, though, however, is Sunjin Pillay. Currently leading that out. He's up into 15th with that earlier pit stop. Jackie Albert serving his stop go 30 seconds that needs to be done. He's down in 26th position. And that is going to be for speeding in pit lane. Whether it's getting into pit lane or getting out of pit lane, that is to be told. Ruan Heineke and Putter fighting their way through 0.2 of a second. And the likes of Bago Krobler and Akira Bukas on top of one another. Also pushing to try and get something done and dusted. As Jackie Albert, Jean Leroux also diving into pit lane to get it done and dusted. We did say the 45-minute mark was the game plan here. How far are they willing to go to make it stick? The likes of Detoy dropping down behind Kutza and Myberg. He's not getting to grips with the Lamborghini. Getting a little bit too much rotation out there. As we do have the likes of Luke and Hines in the wall again. The number 3 having a terrible run this time round. Let's try and take a look from Tim in the helicam. And yes, Tim has got a pilot's license. We checked. Lucky Packet was bought last week. Trying to get onto the power. Oh, losing the rear yet again into the wall. It was first to the left. Now it's to the right. Smashing the nose of the BMW. And I really do hope they can get that car back out and going. You've seen the green. You need to see the checkered. Don't throw in the towel. And that, I'm telling the teams to keep going on your way. Keep pushing through as much as you don't like it. And it does look like he may have retired that car, which is rather unfortunate. So a shout out to any of the snails going and watching. Get that BMW out. Get him back in the car. Get him across the line. Seeing the green, you got to see the checkered. Going and throwing the towel out this early on in the championship can't happen. You have to get on the power. Jared Bokum looks on the inside. Couldn't quite get the drive. Jean Fears just keeping his way through. Jared, part of the Team Wolf, as he tries to keep the pressure on the Trail Bullets Racing team. Jean Fears, who is not giving an inch at the moment, moved a little bit to center to try and off-pace Jared. Couldn't quite get that drive and continues on the momentum as they carry on. 44 minutes left of this race. Still plenty of time. Our top 13 yet to head into the pits. Henry Mayer leading out the charge of our pros and overall, followed by Brandon Kruger and Fleming Bauer in the third. Terence Ferreira leads out our pro-ams. He has yet to go in through the pits. And he has got the likes of Duplessis running in 13th place, second of the pro-ams. And Vian Putter, who has gone through pit lane, is trying to move his way up through the order. Jared Bacum going and trying to get the power, and that is Jean Fears. These two were battling out a little bit earlier. We cut away just for a moment, and suddenly it is all over the show. So let's quickly go back and see what happens. So this is for Fears in front of Jared Bacum, trying to keep going, looking to try and battle on by. Maybe a little bit later on the brakes. For Fears keeping it all together. Ooh, unsteady onto the curb, swings across and across the nose. Just losing it all by himself. Jared was lucky to get away with minor damage. Both drivers getting away with minor damage, but most certainly for Fears' tires is crying out in pain. Yako Kutsa getting into the pit lane. That's going to allow Jared to move up into 18th position as our top 13 still yet to continue on getting into the pits, getting their mandatory pit stops out of the way. Everyone else, however, focusing on the charge. Sundan Pillay leading out the drivers that have done their pit stops. Talking about that, immediately here at Bukas deciding he's going to go and make a fool out of me, dives into the pit lane for the Stingers Racing, gets himself sorted, and will continue on the drive. Still lots and lots of racing going, and I want to say bravo to the Racing Snails. They've hauled that BMW back out onto the track. They are waiting to get released and back out there. So Lucan Haynes in 37th position will be getting that car back across the line and I'm looking forward to seeing it. So, Mr. Haynes, the whole crowd is supporting you. The whole crowd wants to see it. You've seen the green. You need to see the checker. That is the motto. That's what you need to do to get that car out across the line for the racing sales, maximizing the points in the championship. This is only round 2. You don't want to throw it away. Van der Vault onto the back of Van Veek, trying to get a little bit more drive. Jaco Kutzer all over the back of Hansi Meiberg. That is also another fight that's going on. But do want to point out, Jean Leroux is now leading out those that have done all their pit stops. As we're starting to see more pit stops coming in, Baitendach, Putter diving into the pits, getting themselves sorted out in for the running money as Gerrit Bukes rejoins the circuit. Sanjin Pillay, earlier pit stop, remember, was one of the first cars to dive into the pits, is up into 12th, just keeps on ticking by. He wants to carry it through. Terence Ferreira's got to be careful of the likes of Kerry Duplessis, the Tech 1 Racing, looking to stay in for the fight as Kerry Van Zyl dives into the pits, and the Pandacity Racing team all diving to try and get as much fuel into that car as possible, get the tires sorted out. Let's see how it's going to go out. 40 minutes left of racing. You can put a new set of boots on the car to travel all the way through till the end and just worry about a splash and dash, or save it for as long as you can, then switch out. Don't think many drivers are going to be focusing on a one-stop strategy, well, one-tire strategy, but looking at Sanjin Pillay, he went through pit lane. Now, if you want to talk about how much pit lane does hurt you, and this is what you got to consider when it comes to these type of races, is how long you're going to spend in the pits. Well, 43 seconds. That is an absolute nightmare to be sitting on that pit limiter, listening to the competition herring past you and not backing off at all. Fleming Bauer running in third, breaking away from Bego Krobler as that Mustang goes down the gears, hoping to get a little bit more run as Tianas Botha up into 8th. We're now starting to see momentum shifting. Drivers getting into the pits, getting them sorted out. Tianas Botha leading out those that have now done their first pit stop and will continue on. Sanjin Pillay completing his pit stop. Chris Collison and Conrad Volsking. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is still an opportune moment. I don't see, however, that Lucan Haynes is out, so it looks like they have retired that car. Unfortunately, we did see it in pit lane with the possibility of getting out, and it looks like they're not going to be able to do it. Werner Buschhoff getting past the likes of Pretorius, who goes off into the dirt, not having much room to move around there. The two Mustangs are rather huge to deal with, but big changes at the front. Henry Mayer, Brandon Kruger, along with Henry Platt and Fleming Dow into the pits. That leaves Daniel van der Vente and the likes of Bego Krobler to continue on their drive. There are only 2 drivers other than Terence Ferreira that are yet to do their pit stops. Terence Ferreira is the last of the Pro-Ams to do their first pit stop. He's up into 3rd, trying to stretch that gap a little bit more, something he's used to doing, not only here in local soil, but he's used to doing in foreign leagues as well. Go in that little bit later, try and drive it tank to tank, and ensure that you keep going, and then see how it all works out in the long run. Our top 3 yet to do their pit stops, but the change comes in. Mayer, Kruger, Bauer, all going and reacting to one another. Mayer was first to dive into the pits. Kruger immediately came in. Bauer looked to try and go in as well, as they are watching each other out. Tianas Botha going to overtake Bauer. Never mind. Chooses not to go for the attack. The 2 Pandacity cars now working in sequence to try and push themselves along, not wanting to get into the fight. Henry Platt into pit lane as our top 3 yet to get into the pits. Kerry Van Zyl and Henry Platt only leaving pit lane and now. But big news coming in for drivers that have done their pit stops. It is going to be Sanjin Pillay that leads out those that have completed all their pit stops. He's got Leon Swan in between himself and Ruan Heineke to go and fight their way through. Benjamin Till, however, is still needing to do one more pit stop. He's way down the order, and after the big impact he had, Reginald Mutaleni looked to go in pit lane, baited for a situation there. Duplessis was ready to counter. Vesselwoda and Rainer van der Vault going in for the fight, and this is going to be interesting. Van der Vault going to go on the outside. Duplessis going to try and go on the inside of Reginald Mutilini as they battle through. The Lexus getting in fine, gets the pass done and dusted. Reginald down into 18th, Vessel Woda down into 19th, and Rainer Fittervold was not able to get that pass done and dusted, unfortunately losing out. So the drivers needing to really focus on the charge here. How hard can they push these cars to get the run? Vessel Woda looked for the inside. Reginald Mutilini unable to get the pass and has to go for the defense to keep Woda at bay. They are fighting for class position at the moment in the Pro-Ams, as Bego Krobler is the only car now left to do his first pit stop. Stop-go 30-second penalty, however, goes to Gerard Pretorius, who went and sped in pit lane, either on the X or the outside, but he has put a new set of boots on the car. He's down, going and doing a 34.8 second stop. Got all 4 tires sorted out, but going to spend another 30 seconds in the pits just by going a little bit too quick into pit lane or going and jumping off the pit limiter out of pit lane. And that's quite easy to do here in a set of Corsa Competizione, and especially with these GT3 cars. Just by engaging second gear, you going and knocking yourself out of the running, and you take that pit limiter off. That, unfortunately, going and doing it. Lots of questions being asked of different cars as we see Reginald Mutilini runs out a little bit wide, tries to close the door. Rainer Fittervold immediately coming back and trying to get the pass done and dusted. Couldn't quite work out in his favour, but Wessel Voda gets that pass and continues on through. Reginald now into pit lane to get himself sorted out. McLarens, Mercedes, Lexus, BMW, Ferrari, Ford Mustangs, Aston Martins, all coming into the race and looking to battle it out. Unfortunately, for anyone that is a big fan of the Boatley, that's not here. Need to go for next time, though. Jared McCoom and Daniel Van der Venter still keeping a good chase between one another. Late braking for Van der Venter. Very, very late braking. Not quite getting those tyres up to temp yet. As we see Bego Krobler dives into the pits. That means Henry Mayer takes back first place and will continue on the drive. Brandon Kruger into second place as Bego Krobler starts to drop down the order. Fleming Bauer will come across the line and take his position along with Kurt Bucas. There's Bego Krobler only leaving pit lane now and still got quite a bit of gap to Kerry Van Sale. So he remains in the top 5 and Van Sale sitting in 6th place, who will be battling his way through. But, however, I do want to talk about a driver that has gone through the pits 3 times, as per my timing, has crashed out twice and smashed the car to pieces. The Racing Snails of Lucan Haynes back onto the circuit to carry on the race, which is absolutely fantastic. And honestly, round of applause from here in the THT commentary booth. Love to see it, love to know about it, and top notch to the Racing Snails to get the driver back out there. Stop sulking in the corner, get your backside back in the car, and finish this race. Green to checkered as the whole way through. Kudos to you, and kudos to the Racing Snails, because that must have taken a bit of convincing to be done, considering he smashed the front of that nose, not once, but twice to do it. So, honestly, great job on his part to get them going. Jean Leroux trying to keep himself out of trouble as Vian Putter gets a pass through the corners and the bottom end of the circuit, gets himself out there and looking to gain a bit of time. Terence Ferreira, however, needs to be cautious as they make their way through. Heineke leading out those who have completed their pit stops of the Pro-Am class and is getting closer towards charging his way through. Vian Putter running second of those that have completed their pit stops in the Pro-Am field, while our pros up in the top 17 have not completed all their pit stops. 32 minutes to go, and it is running through it all. Henry Mayer leading up by a mountain charge here, 7 seconds up the road. Brandon Kruger running in second with Fleming Bauer chasing down in third. Kurt Bucas still trying to play a little bit of a catch-up game here. Had to get past one of the Lamborghinis. He's 1.8 seconds back. He knows that he's closer to striking distance, but everyone has gone and changed tires on their last stop. So for those that have gone and done their first stop of the race, have all opted to change tires, and that means coming into the end of the race, they will be doing one more stop to ensure they just put just enough fuel in the tank. I'm sure if anyone can just put a rag that's just been soaked in petrol, chuck it over the motor, try and let it breathe in the fumes just to make the car just lighter, and they don't have to worry about it, well, that's definitely it. Oh man, Detoy, unfortunately, drive-through penalty for track limits exceeded, down in 26th position. That is gonna hurt for the Pandassi Jean-Ray Detoy, and will be dropping him down further in the order, having to go through the pits yet again. Conrad Martin will be diving into the pits. Jaco Khutsa keeping the pressure on Jean Leroux. Looks around the outside. The Mustang just not having the legs. Can't get it under braking. And Leroux just carrying through. Vian Pata keeping the pressure on Ruin Heineke. This is going to be a big fight for the two of them. Because if you can get ahead of your competition now, you're racing to the end. You are constantly trying to get that little bit more of an advantage, knowing that the other Pro-Ams are yet to get into the pits. For our pros that are out in the front, they are waiting for the opportunity. Who pulls the trigger first? When do they dive in the box? Are they going to undercut? Are they going to overcut? What is the plan to continue on the drive? And that is the concern that starts creeping in for drivers to ensure they stay in for the running order. So, keeping it all together, it is going to be a battle of wits towards the sharp end of the circuit, and who is going to be able to maintain this drive all the way through is going to be the worrisome part for many of the racers. And considering the circuit itself not lending to easy overtaking, it's going to have to be late on the brakes or wait for a mistake for you to get on by. And that is always the trick. That is the moment you need to make it work to carry on the drive and ensure you stay in the front pack. Here at the beautiful Imola, and Van Putter ready around the outside of the Ferrari 296, trying to see if he can get on by. Going to be standing on the gas, waiting for the opportunity, gets on by, but Heineke looks to the inside, trying to go late on the anchors, couldn't quite bring it back to get the pass done and dusted, down into 21st position. So, drivers all starting to figure out our top 15, yet to do their final pit stops. Van der Walt and Swan running 17th and 18th will also need to consider when they getting into the pits, as it's going to drop them down the order. They are well aware of the issues that are coming in and how they need to stand on the cast. Brandon Kruger, however, starting to slip down the pace a little bit as he's got Fleming Bauer starting to close up the gap, and that is bringing the likes of Gerrit Bukes as they get past Hansi Meiberg, the Team Triad Racing BMW GT3 M4. Gerrit Bukes in that Mustang now looking to try and bring the revs up for the Singers Racing team, hoping it can work. Jared Bacum into the pit lane, going to be doing his final pit stop for Team Wolf, losing out the position to Terence Ferreira, who is looking to catch up to Buschhoff, who is running in 9th, both needing to do their final pit stop, and Ferreira needs to try and identify when is this going to be the opportunity for him to undercut, as he has also got Vesselrode 12 seconds behind, and joining him is Kerry Duplessis and now Sunjin Pillay coming into the fray. Remember, we spoke about Sunjin being that earlier pit stop, waiting for the opportunity. He's been clocking in the times. The 142 ones, the 142 threes has been a maintained pace throughout this race, ensuring he could stay in for the long run. How far can he go? That is the question that many drivers will be sitting on their minds, battling their way through, trying to work out what is the opportunity here for the drivers to move their way up through the order. Duplessis going and trying to push his way through. He's got Sunjin Pillay onto the back of him. They're not fighting for class position, but Duplessis wants to try and retain that 14th position. If he does relinquish it to Sunjin Pillay, he's going to have to use Sunjin as a little bit of a wrecking ball. And already Duplessis saying, listen, that number is higher than mine. I want to go as low as possible. I am not going to back down. I want 14th or more. Not going to jump into 15th place. And Kerry Duplessis hoping that he is going to really keep on to the power. The small block V8 Sunjin Pillay gonna, however, keep the pressure on him and maintain the drive. Let's go back and take a look at our gains and losses as we keep this battle on screen. Most gains and losses at the moment. Gains, let's kick it off with the best one, and that is going to be the likes of Leon Swan, up 22 positions from where he started. He started in 39th. He is now into 17th position. Biggest losses, however, well, we did talk about 16 positions. It's actually come down quite drastically to Gerald Pretorius, down 12 positions. So drivers are starting to even out, maintain what they need to do, and ensure they stay in for the fight. Duplessis continuing to hold Sunjin at bay, taking a little bit too much curb there, unsettling the rear of the car, starting to realize that he's in for a difficult time here. Fastest lap time in the race still is run by the likes of Henry Mayer, out in first place with that 140.8 yet to be beaten, as drivers start to have a little bit more of low fuel running in the tank. They trying to push themselves this a little bit harder, focusing on their charge. Where is it all going to come out, though? That is going to be the question. That is going to be the thought on everyone's mind to ensure that they go running. Sunjin Pillay getting a great drive out of Akra Murali, going up on the inside, second guessed it, going back for it, can't strike it twice, taking all the curb in the process, and Duplessis getting a phenomenal drive. Sunjin Pillay was hesitant on that pass, couldn't get it sorted out, went back into the toe, launched back for the inside, didn't get it all working, and unfortunately loses out a bit of time in the running order. Boshoff still leads out our Pro-Ams with 2 claws, keeping away from Terence Ferreira at the moment. He is up the road by quite a bit, but if he gets into the pits at just the wrong time, if he lifts off, he is in for a trouble. Random Van der Vault dives into the pit lane. Duplessis and Sunjin Pillay continuing on. Van der Vault doing his final pit stop. Tianas Buerta, however, is going to go side by side with Leon Swan. They're going into turn 1. It's going to be the Pandacity up on the inside. Leon trying to fight it out, though. Could not get the Aston to get late on the brakes. And McLaren just able to utilize a little bit more on the brakes. Gets it turned in and done and dusted. We are getting reports, though, from the Pandacity team boss saying, unfortunately, Kerry getting a disconnect. Kerry van Zyl will be out of the race due to a disconnect. So, quick one there, though, is there is an opportunity to still get him back into the car to get going. If he can reconnect, he will be down the order, but still getting times on the board to score points in this race. I mean, that is the most crucial thing that you need to do for the early parts of the championship, and to score big, because in scoring here at Raceface.Pro, well, you score points all the way down to 50th position. You get 1 point for being 50th. And considering we got 2 different classes here, 39 started, you still have a monster amount. You can finish out in the top 20, securing positions, securing at least 13 points for your championship. So I still think there's an opportunity for him to get in the car and get going. We'll wait to find out what the Panassi team can do to try and get that car back out on circuit, get the driver back in. It's also going to be a mind shift focus to get them going and charging their way through in this race. Sunjin Pillay getting past the likes of Duplessis. Duplessis yet to still do his final pit stop. Pillay has done his final pit stop. He is on new tyres over the likes of Duplessis, who is on an older set of tyres trying to battle his way through. So, Henry Mayer, Brandon Kruger, Fleming Bauer lead out our top 3 overall. But take a look for any Ford fans out there. It is Bucas, Krobler, and Platt going and representing the Ford Mustang brand, trying to fight out with the McLarens further up the road. Daniel van Venter going and running for the BMWs a little bit further down in 7th. Our first of our Pro-Ams, however, just sitting out of that top 5 in 8th place is Boshoff. Werner Boshoff going that little bit more in for the race. He wants to try and fight out against Terence Ferreira and Vessel Roda, who have been on a stellar drive, both running 142.8 at this point, while Bischoff is actually 0.2 quicker on his last lap, doing a 42.6. So if he can maintain that, he will be able to stretch that gap little by little by little for his final pit stop. Going further down, 28th and the likes of 29th, as we do see Pretorius and Jackie Alberts both getting a drive-through penalty for track limits exceeded. So Gerald Pretorius and Jackie Alberts will have to serve their drive-throughs and then continue on the race yet again, taking them through the pits. And that is going to have Gerald Pretorius and Jackie Alberts going through pit lane not once, not twice, not 3 times. This is a 4th time going down pit lane, and this is going to substantially hurt. Jackie Alberts had a stop-go 30. Pretorius had a stop-go 30. They both scored a drive-through as well. They've been hit with the wooden spoon of note in this race, just by pushing the limits of what they can do, trying to get out on track as fast as possible. As we see Alex Benduck onto the back of Van Wyk as he tries to make his way through. Van Wyk now just keeping consistent. He did do a visit through the pit lane for a little bit of repair early on, and now continues on the drive. Pretorius and Alberts out of the pits, but all eyes lock it to the front 12. When are they going to dive into the pits? Because that is the leaders of Pro and Pro-Am that are on top of one another, needing to try and figure out when is the opportunity. And this has gone from a strategy game of, okay, I'm going to pit at this mark, or 30-minute mark, or 40-minute mark, or wherever it's going to be. It is now who's going to act and who's going to react in the situation. Who's willing to push the boundaries that little bit further up the road? Who is going to be scoring the big runs here? This is many of the questions that the teams will be looking up and down pit lane. They'll be looking across the board and having discussions with strategists, trying to figure out what is the big plan here. How far are they willing to go in this race? How far are they willing to risk it? Especially considering some of the drivers that are in that fight is like Bego Krobler and Kerry Bukas, who are fighting for class position and overall. They 1.3 seconds. This is all about reaction to one another. Vesowoda is not going to be in fights with Sanjin Pillay. At this point, I think the best option for him would be allow the likes of Sanjin Pillay to get on by, utilize that slipstream, tow yourself along, start saving that little bit of fuel, go that little bit longer in the race, ensure that you can push that little bit harder on the way through. That is the game plan here. That would be the thought process. Sanjin Pillay, however, not going on the attack. Werner Bischoff dives into the pits. First of our Pro-Ams, what is Terence Ferreira going to do in this? Is he going to react by getting into the box and getting out? Is he going to go that extra lap to try and gain some time? Flat on the gas, giving it all he's got. Up on his personal best, 0.2 of a second, utilizing the slipstream. He's going to continue on a lap, taking over the Pro-Am lead, and that is going to open things up. Vesowoda, exactly the same process, not diving into the pits, gonna go that extra lap, capitalizing on just putting the pace in, hoping that Werner Bischoff is not going to be able to get into the fight. For Vesowoda, however, he's going to have the likes of Werner onto the back of him. Sanjin Pillay still hunting down the corners, gets on the inside, gets a pass done and dusted, and now Vessel has to keep an eye on Bischoff that is closing up that gap. Kerry Duplessis will be the next one on the back of him. Duplessis still needing to do a pit stop though. That is another problem. Kerry Bukas, however, dives into the pits. Big moment here. Backs off from Bego Krobler and now focuses on getting an earlier pit stop. How are the rest of the field going to react from 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, all the way down to 10th? Are they going to do the same? We know our top 4 are going that extra lap. They're sinking it in a little bit further, hoping for it to work. Tienes Buerta onto the back of Werner Bischoff. Daniel van der Vente into pit lane as well, getting himself sorted out to ensure he stays in for the fight. Buerta onto the back of Bischoff, trying to focus on where he can get past. Two different classes, Pro versus Pro-Am at the moment, and Bischoff needs to try and figure out what is the strategy plan here. He does look to hold the inside line. Tiana Sporta around the outside. Bischoff actually coming off the gas and allowing Tiana Sporta by saying, listen, I'm not involved in this fight here. I'm going to keep going. Karabukas, however, comes out in front of his teammate. Chris Collison is looking to follow suit, continue on their drive. And this is a big play for the Stingers Racing as both teammates are on top of one another and allow for a little bit of protection. Bucas does not have to worry about Fenter, Sanjan Pillay, all getting onto the back of him. He's able to focus on the charge up, knowing his teammates there for a bit of protection to move his battles through. So we're starting to find that little bit of momentum. A little bit further back, though, for an interesting battle. Top 3, though. And well, sitting in 33rd and 34th. But 0.3 of a second. Jackie Albert and Gerald Pretorius. These two both have gone through pit lane. Both have had a drive-through penalty. Both have had a stop-go. And they are currently the closest on circuit to one another. Other than that, Chris Collison and Kerry Bukes are 1.3, Vesselwoda and Harry Duplessis 1.5, Tiana Sporta and Werner Bischoff 1.8, Jean Leroux and Hansi Myberg 1.8 seconds off the back of one another. Well, a little bit closer is actually Motsahile and David van Veek that are going and launching their way through. So, time starting to tell, critical moments starting to come out, and looking at our Pro-Am, first, second, and third, yet to pit. Bischoff leads out the Pro-Ams that have pitted. Kerry Duplessis, Vesselwoda, fighting out amongst themselves with 15 minutes left in this race, will have to go and try keep things together, try and get a little bit more pace, because when they both get into the box, they will be in the clutches of Werner Bischoff, who is now sitting roughly 12 seconds away from the two of them. That is going to be a nightmare case scenario for Woda and Duplessis. They need to go and try and at least put roughly 42 seconds to hold their positions to ensure they stay in for the fight. But all eyes still aim to the front. 9 seconds ahead. Henry Mayer, lots of room to play with here over Brandon Kruger, who will be focusing on a react situation versus like a Henry Mayer who can choose when he's going to get into the box. Fleming Bauer, however, sliding the car around, looking to stay in for the fight, will have to react to Brandon Kruger. He will have to box behind Brandon Kruger and not go over Brandon Kruger. He cannot go for the overcuts. He's far too far behind for that to work out, but he is close enough to try and utilize a quick in and out. And we do have the Lamborghini into the wall. That is Benjamin Till, pointed the wrong way around on the hairpin, and is now just trying to get himself going a little bit too much on the gas. Have to lightly power your way through, nice and gently, out and going. Best thing you can do in that situation is hook yourself into second gear instead of first. Gently bring the revs up, as we do have one car diving in through the pits, and that is Conrad Fulsking and the Honda trying to get himself sorted out. Reginald Mitteleni onto the back of Leon Swan at the moment, running 0.3 of a second between the two of them. They are fighting it out. Terence Ferreira up into 8th, gets ahead of Conrad Fulsking, but it is Reginald Mitteleni putting the pressure on with the McLaren. The internal server error, the Noob Nation Racing himself not able to get the pass on Leon Swan at the moment. Really trying to dial it in. Looks for the inside line. Is he going to have enough, though? Looks to try and get it sorted out. And Leon Swan just not having the braking power of the McLaren, but has got the low end to try and power his way through. Little bit of a tough time out there for many of our drivers pushing their way through this race. Trying to outthink, outpace. Leon Swan with a huge moment. Losing out a little bit of time there. Anton Lummers says thank you very much. Nails on by. And we'll continue on. Motsahile dealing with the likes of Van Veek, putting that pressure on the back of him. Will continue on the drive as they snake around, trying to break the toe of one another. Mutaleni looking to continue on his bit of pace as he leads out this little train, starting to form as 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30 yes, I can count, going in a train to fight their way through it. Anton Lummers, however, the Treehouse Works Racing, looking to really make an impact here. Leon Swan, after that little bit of a moment, has cost himself time. Motsohile getting immediately onto the attack, trying to push through. That tells me Leon has run out of grip on that car. He is not having an easy time out there to really get the power on as early as possible. He's having to feed it on, and everyone else that has been saving those tires that little bit longer will be getting the run through. Claire Bucas running in sixth place, has completed all these pit stops. Sanjin Pillay running in ninth place is completed all these pit stops. So they are really trying to get into that top 5 and do everything that they can. Hansi Myberg and the likes of Jean Leroux on top of one another, trying to see where they come through. Anton Lummers getting past the likes of Reginald Mutaleni. Reginald down the order. Leon Swan trying looking for the inside line. Motsohile now looking to get in the fight. So is Van Veek and Batendach, as this has all come alive. It's all come unglued. Van Veek out of nowhere looks to try and go on the brakes of Motsohile. Couldn't get it all done and dusted. Slipstream Racing, unfortunately, not getting the run to make it work. And we do see the likes of Van der Venter coming into the fray as well. And I don't think he's going to have an easy time here to get past any of the drivers that are fighting for position. None are wanting to yield in the final closings of 10 minutes of round 2. Oh, and that is unfortunately Brandon van der Walt getting on by, as Alex Batendach taking way too much curb, gets himself bit, and unfortunately spat out of the train. Van der Walt says thank you very much, so that has worked out. That wasn't Daniel van der Venter, that was Van der Walt getting the pass done and dusted, waiting for the opportunity. Alex going that a little bit late over the sausage curb, puts himself and goes and continues on. Big shout out, however, though, goes to Benjamin Till, still out on circuit despite going and visiting the wall not once, twice, and still getting yelled at by the family saying, come on, make it work. He's still going to keep going as Motsohile up on the inside, trying to get the pass done on Leon Swan. Side by side they go. Van Veek tries to put his nose in for the fight as well, as it's all becoming rather unglued here at Imola. Van Veek looks for the inside of Motsohile, couldn't get it done. Van der Walt immediately keeps the pressure. Anton Lummers has gone into the wall, and that is him out of the running as well. He was in for the fight to the train, didn't quite work out, as we do see Motsohile going off into the dirt as well. The 111 getting out of shape. Let's quickly go and take a look. He was in for a fight here, trying to get some bit of pace, and did he land up going over the curb? Did he get clipped? What happened to Motsohile? Oh, the McLaren snaps on him into the wall. Major damage to the car, taking him out of the top 30 after having such a run. Unfortunately, not going to work out there. Van der Walt sets his size on David Van Veek and Leon Swan ahead of him. Another little fight breaking out. Jared McCorm, Hansi Myberg, and Jean Leroux are keeping the pressure on one another, trying everything they can. Jarrett looks to the inside, couldn't go for the pass. Hansi Myberg holding his line, waiting for the opportunity to carry on the drive. The BMW having a lot of legs now onto the back of Jean Leroux as they head into the hairpin and continue on the drive. And you can see Jarrett immediately, late on the brakes, misses that apex, made up a lot of time, instantly loses it as he understeers out. Terence Ferreira into the pits. Crucial moment for him. Has he opened up enough of a gap to Vessel Woda, who comes through? He has not, and Vessel, who has got one more stop to go, will put a lap back and hold into that first place of the Pro-Am. Is that going to work the same for Duplessis? Yes, it is. Duplessis is going to go a little bit deeper into the race before pitting. Ferreira bargaining on the final 7 minutes to get himself done with the pit stop and have enough pace to catch up close to Vesselwater and Harry Duplessis, who still need to do their final pit stop. Bucas in 6th place, 16 seconds away from Henry Platt, has completed all his pit stops, while the top 5 yet to do their final pit stops. Chris Collison yet to do his final pit stop. Vesselwater, Duplessis yet to do their final pit stops as well. Terence Ferreira comes out of the pit lane, unfortunately in a horrid position, as he's got the likes of Heineke ahead of him, Putter, Bischoff, who have all done their pit stops. He's going to have to really stand on the gas to make it work in his favor, to ensure he stays in for the fight. And that is going to be the hardest part, as Ruan van der Walt gets a drive-through penalty in 26th position for track limits exceeded. He was doing so well to try and protect himself right to the end. However, drive-through penalty, that drops him out of the fight. Leon Swan will be breathing a sigh of relief at this point and focuses on his drive back towards the sharp end of the field. Daniel van der Venter, Harry Duplessis are going on for a fight. Duplessis yet to go into the pits. Venter has completed his pit stop. He is now getting time hemorrhaged on him as he follows the likes of Vessel Roda into the pit lane. Chris Collison gets into pit lane, completing their final pit stops, and eyes go back to the front. Mayer, Kruger, Bauer, Krobler, Platt, all needing to get into pit lane for their final stops. Platt, 29 seconds away from Bago. Krobler will look to try and get himself going at this point, as we like Bago Krobler getting caught behind Chris Collison coming out of the pits. He is keeping a 2.4 second gap to Fleming Bauer at the moment, who got a clean run past everyone coming out of the pits and continues on his charge right the way through. Interesting times though, as Bischoff will be leading out our Pro-Ams. He has got Vino Putter onto the back of him and is fighting a lot. It is gonna be a proper charge. Putter right up against the back bumper, looking to try and get by as they fight their way through. Tienes Buerta now holding up that little bit of a train. He's gone and lapped. Is that Tienes Buerta? No, that is Fleming Bauer, who's lapped them, but is also now creating a concertina effect. He needs to get out of the fight as quick as possible, as Putter wants to get past Bischoff. He looks for the inside line. Bischoff is going to drag race him down into the chicane, both braking at the same time, and Putter over the curbs. Gonna be risking it for the biscuit there. Bischoff has to come off, and now down into second place. Henry Platt, however, comes out of pit lane. He's completed his pit stops and has got the likes of Kira Bucas. Now from 6th to 5th. Bucas is starting to tick away the opportunities to stand for the fight here. Krobler, Bauer, Kruger, and Mayer are the last to get into the pit lane to get themselves sorted out. Running in for the first of our Pro-Ams, however, nose to tail, Putter and Bischoff drag racing down to turn 1. Looks to go late on the brakes. They do have Bago Krobler on the tail, who will want to slot in and get round. As we see Putter get out of shape, he looks for the undercut. Krobler getting stuck between them. He's going to put his nose on the inside, forcing Putter to really start trying to figure out where is he going to go. Side by side they go, and contact between Putter and it looks like that would have been Bischoff. It was the two of them coming to blows into the corner. Let's go to the helicam and see how this worked out. Close racing, nose to tail, look for the switchback round the outside. Now this is where it gets tight. A little bit of contact between the two. Holding line, and Putter turned in a little bit early there. Catches the rear of the likes of Bischoff, and that went and spat him out. Bischoff now back into the clutches of Putter as these two return their fight. Ruan Heineke running in 3rd of the Pro-Ams. Our top 4 yet to pit. Likes of Bago Krobler running ahead of this little pack. For the Team Wolf, he is now looking for crucial moments here. He is down 4.3 seconds from Fleming Bauer as Henry Mayer's into the pits. Will Brandon Kruger join? Kruger into the pits. And will Fleming Bauer be next, or is he going to go that extra lap? Is he going to risk it? No, he is going to get into the pits as well. Krobler is the last of those runners. Gets into the pits. Top 4 all pitting at the same time. And now it is crucial to see who gets it. Fight out for Pro-Am, however, is still light years ahead of the pros in terms of excitement, and that is Putter up on the inside for turn 1, gets it under braking. Can he maintain it? And does so. Putter gets the pass. Bischoff tries to fight back. Chris Collison out of nowhere, has also joined in the fight up on the inside, trying to get it all sorted out. And he has got Bischoff in front of him. If he gets ahead of Bischoff, he will be in for the big run here. Does get ahead of Bischoff, and now creating a bit of separation. Putter has the opportunity to start trying to run away. Jean Leroux and Jared Bacum fighting it out. 0.3 of a second between the two of them as they continue on. Vessel Woda, Harry Duplessis are within a second of one another. Henry Mayer out of the pits. Brandon Kruger and Gerrit Bucus out of nowhere is in for a top 3. He's in 3rd place, but Fleming Bauer right there, that's ahead of Michael Schultz, who was the Porsche behind. Fleming Bauer has to get past the likes of Stingers Racing. He's qualified in 3rd. If he can finish in 3rd, that means he has got some major points for the championship and walking away a happy person here at Imola. It's going to be hard work though, as Bauer is a tenacious driver. He knows where he needs to be. He knows he's 4th in the championship and wants to make this work. He wants to make it come into fray. Gerrit Bucus, who finished 8th in the last race, now has an opportunity to be on the final step of the podium, and Bauer will be looking to snatch that away at any moment. Vessel Woda dealing with Harry Duplessis a little bit further down as drivers starting to taper off. 22 seconds left of the race, and it's all or nothing for our drivers to put the hammer down. Are they going to really deal with it? And we are getting confirmation from Jim that our leader is on his final lap. Henry Mayer is doing his last lap, 8.8 seconds ahead of Kruger. Bucus and Bauer have one opportunity. They have got less than a lap to make sure that they are on the final spot of the podium. Bauer, 4th in the championship. Bucus is 8th in the championship. Putter now up into 1st place of the Pro-Ams. We'll have Chris Collison for company. These two don't have to argue with one another. They continue on the drive, but it is eyes to the 3rd place in Pro to battle it out. Brandon Kruger is just resigning himself. Finish where you need to be. Just get across that line. Don't stress. Bucus fighting it out. Bauer keeping the pressure. Runs out a bit wide. The McLaren's lost time. Gerrit Bucus now starting to open up that gap. Really trying to grind it in. This is where he starts a battle in through Sector 3 as Henry Mayer will be heading down to the final corner. Kruger will be trying to make his way through. Bucus losing out time. 1 second between them. Bauer getting too greedy with the corners over the sausage curb, has lost a little bit, but coming across the line will be taking the race win for round 2 of the Raceface.Pro GT3 Championship. It is Henry Mayer for the Panacity team. They will be smiling ear to ear. 2nd place will be Brandon Kruger, and coming up to the line, 0.7. It's going to be a drag race. Gerrit Bucus doing everything he can. Bucus comes across the line, taking 3rd place for Imola. Fleming Bauer fought as hard as he can. 0.8 of a second, gets 4th. Bago Krobler gets 5th. Henry Platt, followed by Sunjan Pillay. Daniel van der Venter will finish up in 8th. Tiernas Puerta in 9th. But Vian Putter carrying the momentum through. All he needs to do is get across the line. Will be smiling to take the win in the Pro-Ams with the likes of Werner Buschhoff still in a fight with Ruben Heineke. Heineke doing everything he can to try gain that 2nd place. A little too greedy over the curbs. That's cost him time. And now Buschhoff has the gap heading into the final corners. It is going to be Putter to take the win for the Pro-Am. And it looks like Buschhoff has done enough to take 2nd place with the likes of Ruben Heineke in 3rd. As the pyro goes off, the celebrations will start and drivers will be absolutely smiling on the way through. Henry Mayer, Brandon Kruger, Gerrit Bucas rounds out our top 3 for Pro, and Vian Platter, Werner Buschhoff, and Rern Heineke take the top 3 for Pro-Am here at Imola for round 2 of the championship. Man, oh man, what a drive, what a moment, and what a time. I am lost for words. That was a race, start to finish, that had everyone on the edge of the seats. So take a look over to the grandstands. You guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. There was some great racing, and honestly, was expecting a major pile-up here at Imola with a big field like that, and everyone else kept it clean. That's why we call them the pros, as they really took it to the line and showing off some phenomenal moments nonetheless. So, that being said, we are going to bring in drivers to come and have a chat to us, give us a little bit of an understanding of how this race went for them, get a little bit of a intel of how it went, but, well, at the same time, we're going to put some highlights on because no one wants to stare at a track. There we go. We got a bit of a shot of the beautiful circuit, some highlights from this race as we get ready to bring in some of our crew to have a chat in it all. So, as I jump over to take a look at the commentary, waiting for the time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you were excited on that one. That was a stunning, stunning race, and congratulations to all the teams, to all the drivers, persevering through some of the hardest times in the race, some difficult situations, difficult choices, a lot of cool heads coming into play here at Imola, and for our Pro and Pro-Am, looking to try and strike it big here and really make a move through the order. Ultimately, though, it came down to consistency. It came down to planning to ensure you get in the running through. So first driver to come and join us, however, is going to be our third place of our pros. And honestly, going to be happy with that one because not many times we get to chat to him running at the end of a race on the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please put your hands together as we bring in Gerrit Bucas. Gerrit, welcome to the commentary box, and what a race. 0.8 of a second. You scored the final step on the podium for the Stingers Racing. Qualified third, finishing third. How are you feeling?
Yeah, hi Stephen. Yeah, thank you. Now, it was a bit hectic out there. A lot of traffic to negotiate and all that kind of thing. And that's why I think in the second stint I got a bit lucky. I think Bago got stuck in some traffic there. So yeah, but I'll take it.
Absolutely. Now, take us through your race. I mean, qualifying third, you've got a monster field behind you, an ultra competitive field as well. Lots going on the early stages. What was the game plan to handle the drivers, to keep the pace, but also manage everything that's going on?
Yeah, I knew I was going to be slow, kind of with a full fuel tank because I put a safe setup in the car. So I kind of knew they would pull away from me, but I could gain back on them, 10 minutes or 15 minutes to go. I was a bit quicker at the end of the stint. So yeah, a little bit too safe maybe on the setup, and I got swallowed up in the start, but yeah, luckily it worked out.
And take us through that final lap where it was white flag, time to give it everything you got. You got the pressure from Fleming Bauer, who is all over the back of you, looking to try and get by. Take us through that lap.
Yeah, I was kind of not sure where they were. I knew Paigo went in the pit. I knew Mr. Bauer went into the pit. And luckily, right at the end of the pit there, I could just nab it and go past. And I was quite lucky at the end there because I didn't have any traffic. So yeah, it worked out. I'm happy with that.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Well, I got you here before I let you go to enjoy the celebrations, to enjoy the champagne, and enjoy just going wild, taking that third place. Anything you would like to say to all our partners here at Raceface.Pro, to all the teams and drivers out there? You're allowed to be a bit spicy, but keep it PG. And most importantly, to all the fans out there, because the Stinger fans were out in yellow cheering you on.
Yeah, I know. Could hear them inside. Yeah. Yeah. Just basically, thank you to Raceface. There's a lot of work that goes on behind Hansi, all the guys. There's probably lots more guys that I'm not naming, but yeah, we know it's hard work that goes into this, and we're grateful. All the races.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Here, Bruce, go and enjoy the celebrations. Well earned. And join up with the team. You have done a great job out there, taking third place in the pros and third overall.
Thank you very much.
Well, with that being said, we are going to have an interview with our winner of the pros, and then we're going to move on to our pro-ams, which is always a bit of fun. And let's bring in Henry Mayer. Henry Mayer, welcome to the commentary box. Something you are very familiar with is being on the top spot. 8.8 seconds ahead by the end of the race, but it looked a bit hairy at the start. How are you feeling?
Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, this was a on the edge race with the temps and stuff. The car got really slidey, but otherwise good race. Like the traffic made it really interesting. But yeah, good race.
Strategy plans, what was the game plan? We saw you pitting a lot later, the final 2 minutes, opting to get into the pits for your final pit stop. You were out on a new set of tires after your first pit stop. What was the game plan, or was it just trying to figure it out on the fly? Were you trying to react to the cars behind you, or just keeping to a strategy that you had pre-planned?
Yeah, it was kind of like a 50-50. Like the plan was to go longer in both ways, but on the first stop, I saw the traffic piling up a bit ahead, so I had to put like a lap or so earlier. But yeah, it was basically kind of planned and on the fly.
And finally, working with your teammates, we saw a couple of times where you were having to just notify the teammates, hey, listen, I'm coming up to you. They were sitting on the race line and looking to lose time. What was the internal discussions that were going on, or was it more on the lines of, I'm going to send it on the inside, I hope you're ready for me?
No, I have to say, like, I've got great teammates. They don't want to hold me up or anyone up, so we just try and make it as easy and not lose as much time. So it's just good communication beforehand.
Absolutely. Well, before I let you go, anything you want to say to our sponsor here at Raceface.Pro, to all the drivers out there, the teams, all putting in an amazing fight here at Imola for round 2, to the admin in the background, but also to all the petrol heads out there going and cheering on the Angry Pandas and cheering on all the drivers in the 39 cars that started this race.
No, just a massive thanks for everyone watching. For everyone behind the scenes, especially Hansi and Bertus. They're doing a great job at this point. Thanks to a great team, and thanks to you, Stephen, for the commentary.
Absolutely fantastic. Henry Mayer taking the gold for the Pro Division and overall win for round 2 here at Imola. Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to bring in our Pro-Ams where it was wild till the very end. Let's bring in third of our Pro-Ams, and let's bring in Ruan Heineke of the Griffin Sim Racing team and Team Sarko. Ruan, welcome to the commentary box. What a race for you. It was up and down and landing up in a 6 to 7 car battle in a train in the final 10 minutes. How's your nerves?
Sure, I'm still sweating here, Stephen. That was a very tough race. It's a fun race, clean race. So we can't complain. It was a good race for me.
Now, taking a look at it, you started mid-grid. You saw the paces around you. What was the game plan for the start of the first lap of the race?
My strategy was go pit lap 1, get into clean air. So I can undercut the guys. And I actually undercutted Jan Petter twice on both pit stops. Unfortunately, he's a bit quicker than me. And he managed to overtake me both times.
Now, we do know the track was extremely hot out there, 30 degrees. What was that doing to the car? The Ferrari 296, usually very good on tires, but obviously the track heat and being Imola with a high degradation, naturally, how was that affecting you?
I was feeling a little bit brave tonight, and I went for a low wing setup tonight to try and keep up with the Fords and the Aston. And it's a bit of a mix. The tires wore quicker than I expected, and especially the late stints when the shadows start coming over the track, it's becoming hard to see your apexes properly. And the nerves were finished at the end. The last few laps when I saw the guys close.
Well, we saw the celebrations going out, the Griffin Sim Racing team running up to the pit wall, coming up to the line, seeing the checkered flag, knowing that after an hour and 20 minutes, you are going and capturing that third place. What was the emotions running through the head?
Just glad to finish the race. I finished with 0.6 liters of fuel. I
Okay,
was just happy to make it till the end.
fair enough. Little bit close on the margin there, but well done on the math. And that's why,
Yeah,
kids, you got to go and do well in school if you want to get your fuel calculations right. Well, Ruan, absolutely great stuff. Anything you would like to say to all our partners here at Raceface.Pro, to the admins, to the drivers, to the teams, and most importantly, I think you agree with me on this, all those virtual petrol heads that were lining the grandstands out there, cheering you on, shouting from the rooftops to get you across the line in third place.
Yeah, big up to Mansi and Bertus for making this event possible, because there's a lot of work going into events like this. Yourself commentating for us, all the spectators watching, and of course the sponsors. Thanks to everybody that was involved in this form of racing and promoting it.
Absolutely fantastic. Well done, Ruan Heineke, on your third place. Go and enjoy the celebrations with the team. You earned that third place.
Thank you, Stephen. Have a good night, everybody.
Absolutely fantastic. Ruan Heineke of the Griffin Sim Racing team. Let's bring in second place, however, in the Mustang. That had to work a little bit hard for it. Werner Buschhoff, welcome to the commentary box. And man, oh man, was that a race for you of note? Take us through the roller coaster of emotions of just fighting tooth and nail, landing up in a 6-car battle, landing up too wide, landing up with pros going and pushing you to the outside, knowing that you have got so much pressure on the back of you.
Yeah, that was quite a hectic race. Last week I ended up in the middle of that big crash. This week I thought I'm going to put in a good quali. If I have to drive with the pros, I'll drive with the pros. It is one of my stronger maps. So, yeah, just gave it my all.
The heat obviously starting to come into play. Drivers going and talking about the sun being a bit of an issue. What was the take onto that?
Yeah, the sun was a little bit of an issue. Also, the tires were quite. They had a few spots at the end, and to make it worse, I had my teammate pushing for first, and we had some good battles. And then we decided, no, let's rather do a gentleman's agreement, because we are gonna push each other off the road and give him the first position.
Fair enough. All fair in love and war, but sometimes you got to know where the fight is. Well, Werner, it's been an incredible one. You've taken second place. Anything you'd like to say to all the partners here at Raceface.Pro, to the admins, to the drivers, to the teams, and I think you'll agree with me, to all those petrol heads, because I'm sure you saw everyone running to the fences to cheer on the orange Mustang.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I would like to say thanks to all our sponsors for making this season happen, and obviously to our admins who put in a lot of hard work and long hours. Yeah, just thanks to everyone, spectators, YouTube people, everyone. Thanks.
Absolutely great stuff. Werner Buschhoff taking second place in the Pro-Am and 12th overall. Well done, Werner. Enjoy the celebrations.
Thank you.
Well, that being said, we're going to bring in his teammate. Gentleman's agreement. Well, he was putting in a lot of fights, and I don't think it was too gentlemanly against our pros. Let's bring in Vian Pata. Vian, welcome to the commentary box. Getting a win under the belt here at Imola. Took the fight to the pros at the beginning, and ultimately walking away with the gold at the end. How are you feeling?
Hey, Stephen. It was fun. As long as we sit in the rigs and have fun on a Thursday, that's how it should be. But I'm feeling good about the win. Yeah.
Now, I've got to ask a question. First to the Pro-Ams, landing up in the middle of the pros, was there any pressure of having to perform, or was it, don't worry, I'm going to just keep going, I know I've got space behind me to my actual competition?
I started with a full tank, so it was difficult in the start. At the start, race pace was not there really, and I saw Ruan and Werner undercut me, and I decided, hey, I don't know what to do now. I got out and I saw they were just a few seconds in front of me, and we had some good fights, and I made up that positions at least at the end of the day. But yeah, pros are fast.
Well, we heard about the gentleman's agreement between teammates. How did that come about of, okay, you go for the charge and I wait back? Or was it a bit of a ching-chong chuck down the straights to see who gets it?
Yeah, we got it. We got to a gentleman. We're in the same team, so we got on the back straight and the main straight, and I said to Werner, well, we need to make something out of this. Number 3 is catching. What are we gonna do? We said, okay, the first one out of the S's is gonna just take it. So that's what we did.
On screen, we saw you fighting with Werner and landed up going door to door with him while Bago Krobler was around. I mean, that was a fight for position. What was the run through the head of suddenly Bago Krobler in your fight with your teammate, and then all of a sudden you rally driving?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit of a space underestimation, but at the end of the day, at least he got through, so no hard feelings there. And then me and Werner had a little bit of a tumble. I went into the grass. I gave him the spot back, and I just decided, you know what, let me see if I can catch him again before the race finished. And there was like 2 laps left, so yeah, it just made it some fun for ourselves as well.
Well, there's always a Formula One quote that everyone goes and references. You always got to make the space. And well, here at Imola, you made the space, finishing up in first place. Anything you'd like to say to our sponsors here at Raceface.Pro? Anything you would like to say to the drivers, the teams, the admin? And most importantly, I think you can agree with me on this, because as you were traveling around, you saw the entire virtual grandstand just going wild.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thanks, Stephen, for commentator box and all of that. Thanks for the sponsors. Thanks to Raceface and ATR as well, our team that's keep on practicing and pushing through. It was a good race, had a lot of fun, and we will be back next week.
Absolutely fantastic. Vian Putter taking the win in the Pro-Am division. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it has been an exciting one. It's been a wild one. And we have now gone and seen all the battles coming through till the very end. But we will be going and saying farewell to Imola, looking to put our eyes forward to round 3, which is going to be at Silverstone. So we're flying away from Italy. We are flying to the beautiful track of Silverstone out in the UK. We're home to many great battles. It's going to be an exciting one. It's going to be a great one, and it's happening next week. So make sure you tune in for all the action. A little bit of fun, however, for you ACC fans so far, leading out the charts of the most watched this week. iRacing in third, second is LMU, and with 194 people that have viewed this, you guys are leading out the charge. So let's see, by the end of the week, which is the most popular sim to go and watch? Will it be iRacing? Will it be LMU? Or will it be ACC? Only you, the crowd, that can make it happen. Share it far and wide. If you're looking to join us here at Raceface.Pro, make sure you head out to SimGrid. Go and follow Raceface.Pro. Join in all the championships that we've got from endurance racing, iRacing, LMU, and many, many more to come here at Raceface.Pro. But most importantly, make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a like as well. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, enjoy the evening. Keep warm, keep safe, and like always, from the Team Heap Together booth, we want to say a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.